All right, you can see some slides open up here. I'm continuing with my amazement at the engineering of our, we have an ecosystem. We have an ecosystem inside the atmosphere, but we have, I don't know what you call it outside of that. It's not an ecosystem, it's a habitat. Since they're using the word habitable, the habitable zone around a star, which I talked about last week, and I made the, I don't know what you want to call it, assertion, the daring assertion that the Earth is the habitable zone. And I'm going to stick to it till there's some evidence to the contrary. That's my ironically scientific statement, since there's no evidence, since there's no scientific evidence otherwise. I'm sticking with this, that we live on the only habitable zone. What a stroke of luck, right? But anyway, I was thinking about the moon, that thing up there that sometimes hangs low in the sky, just waiting to be worshipped by someone, which it is and was. And whether it's just I don't know, a cool thing to see or a temptation, a shiny thing or something like we talked about last week. And I don't think so. And I read a book back in the 90s called, what was it called? About Time, I think. It was Kip Thorne, physicist Kip Thorne. It was very good. I recommend it. I can still remember it. So, but anyway, it introduced me to the idea of tidal gravity and why we have tides. Does anybody know why we have tides? Full of the moon.
Gravity, basically.
Yeah, I shouldn't have used the word. I kind of gave it away.
Yeah, the moon's gravity affects where the moon is in terms of where that water is affects how the water moves under the moon's gravitational pull, and the combination of the moon's gravitational pull and Earth's gravitational pull.
Yeah, so it's actually not our gravity, it's the moon's gravity.
It's both, actually.
And so you have here's a little diagram of it. It's ironic when you look at the way it works, you have high tides on the far side of the Earth relative to the moon and the near side. So what happens is the pull of the moon's gravity, the gravitational pull of the moon causes high tide on the near side. And because there's no gravitational pull from the moon on the far side, inertia takes over and the water then is free to move out.
On the
far side,
gravity is weaker and it pulls the other way.
Yeah. So there's the two bulges. And then of course there's a fixed amount of water. So where is it going to get the water from? And the answer is from the what do you call these two sides?
No side.
The perpendicular sides. I don't know. Dana, what do you call those sides? The y-axis. I don't know. Let's call this the x-axis and this the y-axis. So this is the way it works. You got high tide, and as the moon goes around, that's how it works. You'll notice that this side, the bulge here, is bigger than this side, and that's because at a certain point you have the sun over there. So the combined gravitational attraction of the sun and the moon will make that tide be higher a little bit than the inertial side, the other side, the far side. So that's tidal gravity. And the question is, do we care? Do we care about this tidal gravity irrelevant to life on planet Earth, or does it matter?
It affects, it can affect the weather, I bet, too.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. So, let's ask Flexi. I don't know who Flexi is. I have no idea. I just clicked a link, but I'm going with it. So Flexi has some things to say about tidal gravity and its benefits. This was actually the inverse question. What would happen if there was no tides on planet Earth? And so Flexi, I refuse to call Flexi her or she. Number one there, disruption of marine life. Yep, lots of marine species depend on tidal gravity. So that goes away, life cycles and so forth. Coastal landscapes, you have water moving, and when you have water moving, you have sedimentation moving. When you have sedimentation moving, it's not static. And so that gets disrupted, and life forms depend on that. Landscapes change. Nutrients get recycled with the tides. You have coral reefs. The replenishment of coral reefs and so forth are affected by tides. I mean, some of these coral reefs, I was looking at this. I passed I don't know if you guys looked at it, but I passed a YouTube video of the ages of animals. What are the shortest to longest aged animals, living animals? And it's everything from certain insects that live a couple days to these corals and stuff that live thousands of years. And so the longest one, I mean, they call it infinite. They have, I don't remember, sponges or something, that what they call an infinite lifetime, which really just means if you're a young earther like me, if you're looking at that thing, if they're right, then you're looking at something that's been there since the beginning, which is amazing. But anyway, all of that stuff is affected. So a lot of that stuff is affected by tides. You have the interaction between salt and freshwater bodies is affected by tides. So I don't know what the effect would be to have a static situation where you don't have that mixing and that influence, but my guess is it would not be something we want.
I would suppose it'd be something like dead water, kind of like you see a stream and come from an area where there's no flow, it's just dead. And I think without the tides, oceans would turn to like a dead water situation.
So as the moon moves around, of course, the tides move with it. And this
What
goes,
happen if you make the moon closer so the tides are stronger though?
well, the question then would be, would the moon just fall into the earth?
Yeah. Earth's got
There's a
great-
balancing act.
It's on the speed the moon's moving.
Yeah, there's a balancing act going on. So if you take, we talked about black holes a few weeks ago. And there are bodies traveling around the black hole that have a 16-year rotation. And the speed at which they're having to move to maintain their orbit. So the moon would have to speed up to maintain its orbit. We're going to actually look at a moon of Jupiter in just a second. That's exactly that situation. But yeah, you could move the orbit in, but my guess is you wouldn't want to, because that would disrupt. I think what would happen is, if this body wasn't here, the moon, we would see disruptions of life on planet Earth that we didn't even anticipate.
Yeah.
So
There
I don't
are
know.
purpose.
Well,
So that's-
think of it, it depends on how you remove the moon, because there would something catastrophic have to happen to remove the moon. In
Yeah,
the
that's
first
true,
place.
Yeah.
And so this is a very, very delicate balancing act here that's going on, because the attraction isn't such that the gravity disrupts life on Earth. We're just far enough and just close enough, exactly like with the sun. We're just right. We're just far enough and just close enough. And the moon is just far enough and just close enough. And it happens to be there for all these benefits. Well, there's another world out there called Io, which is a moon of Jupiter, which is the exact opposite, which is what happens when you don't have a nice, delicate balancing act. So this is Io, and it is a seething volcanic hell in the solar system of constantly erupting volcanoes. And the reason is, I think it's Jupiter's largest moon, but the reason is exactly related to what we're talking about here. Here's Jupiter, which is ginormous. I don't remember how big Jupiter is relative to Earth, but it's
huge.
dozens to hundreds of times bigger than the Earth.
I think it's hundreds.
So the point being, these moons have to travel a lot faster to maintain their orbits. And so here's Io right here, the closest of the big ones. So not a lot of distance there. I think it's 260,000 miles, which is about the same distance from the moon to the Earth. So if you can imagine being on Io, which you can't, and instead, if you imagine being on the moon, and looking at the Earth, we've seen those pictures because they've been taken. Well, imagine being on the moon and seeing Jupiter and what that would look like.
Be huge.
And so that's Io, spelled I-O. And just outside of it is Europa. And Europa, so what happens is, as Europa, so you have the gravitational attraction from Jupiter, and now you have the gravitational attraction from Europa hitting it as it goes, as they pass each other. And the result is Europa then experiences this gravitational attraction from both sides, which pitches on the mass of the planet and deforms it and squeezes it and puts it under pressure and you know, with this constant action that causes tremendous heating. And that tremendous heating is what melts rock on this planet and produces these volcanic eruptions and these lava flows. So they don't think they're lava flows from magma chambers inside the core or inside the mantle or in a mantle. They think it's from the surface. The rock is just flat heating up that much from the tremendous pressures of these gravitational squeezes that it melts the rock. And so the whole planet is just volcanoes. And so when you look at it, it looks like that, and it's sulfur, and it just pours out, and it's this living hell.
So all those moons are on the same plane as they go around.
That's the way things work, yeah. It's false that even in the solar system or the galaxy, there seems to be a principle that planetary rotation, body rotation, happens in a plane.
And they're always the same.
And so our planets are in a plane. I mean, the plane has depth to it, but our planets are in a plane. The moons are in a plane that you're looking at right here. They're not randomly orbiting different, you know. And then in the galaxies orbit in a plane. I don't know why. My hunch is if it wasn't that way, it would dramatically affect the possibility of life, living, of the systems in which life happens. But that's the difference between our very delicate system to produce tides and affect in a positive way life on planet Earth, and what can happen with, there's not tides, but whatever you want to call this kind of gravity from both sides. So we don't have that. We don't have another body. We do have another body. We have the sun, but the sun is 93 million miles away. So it's far enough away that we don't have the same effect as Io has with Europa and Jupiter. If you think of Jupiter as the sun, Io as the Earth, Europa as the moon, right? They're placed just so we reap the benefits of being where we are without the negative. When you throw in the magnetosphere and the heliosphere that we talked about, all this other stuff, the habitable zone is Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 is a marvel of engineering that he just glosses over. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
Well, I looked up, because you mentioned how many Earths would fit onto Jupiter. According to AI, over 1,300 Earths could fit inside Jupiter.
What's 1,300 times 8,000?
I looked it up a moment ago. I came up with 11.212 in terms of diameter of Jupiter, diameter of Earth.
So yeah, what says here on my thing, while Jupiter is 318 times more massive than the Earth, its vast volume derived from a radius of 11.2 times larger than the Earth allows it to hold over 1,300 Earth-sized spheres. That's a little over my head, but that's what it says. And, you know, we can always count on AI to be accurate.
Huh. I still don't know what the diameter of Jupiter is.
I didn't.
My math was stupid. I'm not going to tell you what I was just trying to do. Okay. Anyway, that's our little amateur hour lesson of the day.
As we've said over and over as we talk about, all this is necessary for life on planet Earth.
Yeah, and we're not even
And
There's
we're
the-
not scratching the surface.
There's the things you know and you know them.
You know,
There.
you were talking about Genesis 1:1. Most of, a lot of deep theological questions can be answered by the first 4 verses.
Yep.
In the
Yeah.
beginning, God, period. Like this, you're talking about in Jupiter and then the closeness and all this and how we are lucky and designed to be exceptional place to live, and that's the only place you can live because of the way that God, because of who God is.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, God answers a lot of theological questions and deep answers and questions are just right there.
Genesis, the first few chapters set the stage for theology, our understanding of God, and anthropology,
Mhm.
our understanding of man. And every religious system has theology and anthropology. And so you can look at those systems, Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, 5. And you can look at go right for it. What is their theology about the creator? About the creator. And also, what is their anthropology? What is their understanding of man in his place in the universe and before the creator of all things? And they all 5 will say something about that. Even if they say nothing, they're saying something about it. And so 3 of those, I think 2 of those share an identical, well, no. We depart from Judaism on our understanding of a Trinity. But pretty close, Judaism and Christianity, actually pretty close, Islam and Christianity. And then after that, it's a steep drop off in similarity. I'm not making any identification with Islam whatsoever. Period.
In the big picture though.
Just, they share a story
We share a story.
with Abraham. We both share it. We all share it from, and after that, it departs. It forks after that. But anyway, we're in Genesis chapter 44. This is chapter 43. We're going through the narrative on Joseph and a very long story, 39 through 44 of 45 of Jacob's family's migration from Canaan to Egypt, from Canaan to Egypt. In fact, you could put that over the head of the whole, as far as subject matter, that's the subject matter of 39 and really 37. There's that break in 38 with Tamar. Remove that from 37 and then 39 through 45. You're going to see the migration of Jacob's family to Egypt, where they will stay for hundreds of years and incubate and develop a cohesive, unified ethnic identity with tribal separations. And those tribal separations will not begin to give way into nationhood or kingdom until Saul. And then really the kingdom of David. He's the one who will centralize the nation in its worship, which is the key, in Jerusalem in about 1,000 or a little after 1,000 BC. The Exodus happens in 1440 BC, 1410 BC or something like that. No, 1446, according to 2 Samuel, 1446 BC. So it's going to be a lot of years, hundreds of years before out of that tribal confederation, where you have tribal loyalties, where that then can be broken down enough that you have nationhood and a single unified kingdom that will happen under David. So it's a long project. Right now, we're not even tribes. we're just we're brothers we're a family clan. That's why I called it patriarchal clan right here. That's gonna hold, that's gonna hold until they're in Egypt where they become a slave people. And so we're about on the transition from patriarchal clan, Jacob or Israel, to slave people. And that slave peoplehood, if you will hold until the Exodus, where you will give way once they get to Canaan into a tribal federation. And that will be reinforced because God is going to allocate land based on tribe. And then eventually David will do the work. Saul starts it, David finishes it, Solomon really finishes it, and turns it into a cohesive national identity of a kingdom with a centralized worship and administration in Jerusalem for the first time, which will last almost no time, less than 40 years. And then that will go away in favor of two kingdoms. All right. Genesis chapter 44. This is 43. We're in the middle of this ordeal that the brothers that Joseph is taking his brothers through. We're not yet sure of Joseph's motives or what his agenda is. They have come. There is a famine, a 7-year famine, which was ordained. Joseph is now the administrator in Egypt. So the brothers come to Egypt to buy food, and they're gonna have a date with destiny, because they're gonna have to meet the man and beg from the man that they sold into as a slave into Egypt in the first place. So they are the authors, good and bad, of the situation, unwitting authors of the situation that they are now going through. And so they have gone to Canaan. Joseph recognizes them. They do not recognize him. And he notices that there's only 10 of them. And he thinks, wait a minute. What did you do with my brother? After you sold me as a slave into Egypt, what did you do? Did you kill my brother too? To wipe it out? What did you do? So he asks, what is this all of you? Do you have anybody else? Yeah, we have a brother and a father. And he says, okay, I'm taking one of you, and you're going to bring me that brother. And you ain't getting the brother back. I will not see your face. You will not see my face unless you have that brother with you. And so at that point, if I'm just reading the narrative, I'm thinking, okay, he plans on getting hold of that brother, and then they can do whatever they want, or he's going to kill him in retribution. And maybe the only thing standing between them and that event is God himself providentially ordaining the situation. And so Joseph wants the brother. He wants his brother. And my hunch is his plan is to take him. He says, that brother's coming with me. He's going to be with me in Egypt. Me and my brother are going to be in Egypt. You can go back, you can do whatever, or I'll sell you into slavery. Who knows? Who knows? But he also knows that there's a God over all of this, and he's beginning to click in his mind, because he remembers the dreams and them bowing down to him and his father bowing down to him. So he begins to put 2 and 5 and 7 and 14 together with the plan of God. He's one of the few that does that. Begins to see the plan. There's a hint of it with Jacob, because when Joseph tells the dream to Jacob about the sun and moon bowing down to him, Jacob goes, what? Well, you really think your mother and me are going to bow down to you? No, we're not going to do that. But then the text says, but he kept the same. Seems to be in the back of his mind, because they really believed in their dreams. And so now it's all unfolding. We already had the template with the dreams, and now it's just unfolding. And Joseph is beginning to put the picture together. And I don't know of very many examples of that in the Bible, where ahead of time, a human kind of figures it out and said, okay, I know where this is going. Not a lot of humans in the Bible do that. they're okay. They get a C, they get a pass fail on looking backward and figuring something out when it's obvious, but they fail. It's an automatic fail if you're asking humans to figure out where God is going with a thing. And so here in the middle of the process, he's beginning to figure it out. And so he sends them away with food. He's got Simeon. They ain't getting Simeon back till they bring the brother. That's probably what they're thinking. That's probably what Jacob's thinking. He wants Benjamin. I'm not giving him Benjamin. But Jacob doesn't trust the brothers because you can see it in that statement. It's like he never really believed him about Joseph's death being from animals, because he says, "You have bereaved me of my children," plural, at least two. Well, there's only Levi and Joseph. So he's holding this, it appears to me, he's holding this thing against his brothers, against the sons, because he knows them as well as anybody. He knows them better than all of us. And it's just, they're just, that family group, man, treacherous. And so he says, "No, I'm not sending Benjamin. We're going to run out of food now again." They ate all their food that they got from Egypt. And I guess they were hoping the famine would end. I don't know what they were planning with Simeon, because were they just planning on abandoning him? Hoping the famine ends, then we don't have to go back to Egypt. If you don't go back to Egypt, we don't get Simeon back.
I think
Oh, well.
Want to go back and get him, his father.
Possibly. Possibly.
I think what was in their mind was if we don't go back to Egypt, we're gonna die.
They get there. But I think what they were hoping was the famine would end and they wouldn't have to go back.
Well, isn't this famine that Joseph predicted was gonna last 70 years?
Yeah. Yeah, they're not even 2 years, not even 2 years
old.
old. He knows they're coming back, because he knows they're going to run out of food again. So all he has to do is wait. He wants his brother. I'm not giving anybody the benefit of the doubt here. I'm just reading the narrative, and this is the way I see it. Don't give these people the benefit of the doubt like they have overly noble, agendas and motives and so forth. All we know is that Joseph was sold as slave into Egypt. His brothers show up. They don't have Benjamin. He's thinking about it. Where's Benjamin? What would I think? Now it's a little anachronistic. What would I think? Well, I'd be thinking, where's my brother? Why is he missing? Did you kill him? What's going on? I want to see my brother. And if I get my hands on him, I'm not giving him back to you. That's the way I see it. So in that sense, Simeon's a hostage. And my hunch is they're onto this a little bit. Jacob. And so, but anyway, they run out of food again. So Jacob says, pretending that nothing has happened, Jacob says, "Well, why don't you guys go back to Egypt and get some food, buy some food again?" And the brothers go, "What are you talking about? We already told you. We can't see the guy. We can't see the man, the Lord of the land, unless we have Benjamin." He says, "Well, I don't want to send Benjamin. If you send Benjamin with us, we'll go get food." And Jacob finally concedes to reality of the situation. He said, "All right, go ahead and take Benjamin. And if I am bereaved of my children, then I am bereaved." And so off they went. Then they come in. Now we're in 43. Now the famine was severe in the land. We already went through this. Wait a minute. How far? Yeah. No. I'm talking about the part that I just went through. Okay, right here. So off they go, and they go meet Benjamin. They go meet Joseph. He sees Benjamin. And then you have this strange banquet.
Yes.
Where you have Joseph eating as the administrator, whatever position he has as governor. Let's call him a governor. Then you have the Hebrews. And then you have the Egyptians. So this strictly enforced social caste system that's going on here. And they have a meal that the brothers are just probably shocked by, because before he was angry with them, taking them to be spies. Now they show up again and he's rolling out the red carpet and giving them a banquet. And so, you know, that's, what would you think? I don't know what you think. I mean, we're being set up. I don't know. So you get to the last verse, and they drank and were merry with him. So Joseph, what is Joseph letting all about? Is he about to reveal himself? Okay, I've got Benjamin, so I'm going to go ahead and reveal myself.
That's,
And we're all going to live happily ever after. No, we're not ready to live happily ever after yet. Because why? My hunch. He still doesn't trust these guys. He doesn't know their intention. What is their real nature? Am I going to allow my brother to go back with them to Canaan so that I never see him again? No, I'm not going to allow that one way or another. So there's one more test to do. There's one more event to happen. I'm going to find out what you people are really made of. And if I like what I see, this meeting is going to turn out vastly better than you could have ever imagined. If I don't like what I see, I'm taking Benjamin. And you can have a nice day. That's my guess. So this is the way it ends. They drank and were merry with him.
and of course, Benjamin had a huge feast compared to the others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they know. So they know he's still got some kind of designs on Benjamin. Now we're into 44. Then he, Joseph, commanded the steward of his house, fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and put each man's money in the mouth of a sack, and put my cup, the silver cup, in the mouth of the sack of the youngest. Who was the youngest? Benjamin, with his money for the grain. He did as Joseph told him. And as soon as the morning was light, the men were sent away with their donkeys. And they had gone only a short distance from the city. Joseph said to his steward, "Up, follow after the men, and when you overtake them, say to them, 'Why have you repaid evil for good? Is it not from this that my Lord drinks, and by this that he practices divination?'" Says steward on command of Joseph about Joseph. "You have done evil in doing this." So you go, what is with this divination cup? And I have no idea.
Yeah,
It could all be a ploy,
They
you know.
They were in Egypt.
yeah.
It's
But-
later on banned in the Mosaic Law.
Yeah, this is the first time you see no, there is no evidence from the text that Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob ever engaged in anything other than the worship of
Oh,
Yahweh, the God of Abraham. You do see Jacob make the allegation against his brothers after he returns to Canaan from Paddan Aram. "Put away the foreign gods from among you. We're now the clan of Yahweh." And then they go to Bethel and they have a renewal ceremony.
and we see it in Rachel.
But now it pops in here with Joseph. I don't know. It could just be a ploy.
We need to,
I have no idea.
we need to also see that Joseph could have been seen here. I think it's very, very likely that he was in some type of nut job.
Joseph?
Yeah, Joseph was some kind of nut job.
I believe Joseph is
No,
one of.
that's what his brothers.
Oh, the brothers see him as a tyrant who's, for some reason, has designs on them that they don't.
Before they saw.
Especially,
And
especially with what's coming up. Hey, what
Yeah.
is this?
And they also see him. Here's another important part. They also, and I believe correctly, see him as the instrument of God, bringing back their evil on their own heads.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely
So-
think that too.
And they are correct about that.
But then, when he was living at home with them, they were also very jealous of him because he was the
Yes.
favorite son of the father. So
No jealousy here,
no jealousy.
Yeah, there ain't any
Fear.
jealousy. Yeah, yeah.
Absolute fear.
nor will there be once this has its final, So anyway, we'll put the cup aside for a second. Yeah, we'll make no judgments about it. This is a claim from the steward. He just says, put the silver cup
Yeah.
in in the youngest sack. He doesn't say, put the silver, it's an argument from silence. He doesn't say, put the silver cup that I use for divination. He just says the silver cup. It's the steward that he commands to say this. So he doesn't, there's some distance between the divination part and himself. But we do know that he is a worshiper and a servant of Yahweh, the God of Abraham, based on prior narrative. Okay, let's keep going. And when he overtook them, the steward that is, he spoke to them these words, the words that were just, that he was told to speak. And they said to him, why does my Lord speak such words as these? Far be it from your servants to do such a thing. Behold, the money that we found in the mouths of our sacks, we brought back to you from the land of Canaan. How then could we steal silver or gold from your Lord's house? Whichever of your servants, I have no idea what they're saying. Whichever of your servants is found with it shall die, and we also will be my Lord's servants. And he said, let it be as you say. Now he's going to alter it. He who is found with it shall be my servant, and the rest of you shall be innocent. Which I take to be able to go. Just go. Again, I say, that sounds like a setup to get Benjamin. It looks to me like the plan here at this point for Joseph is to get Benjamin. I don't know, I wouldn't give him credit for understanding some master plan yet about bringing the whole family to Egypt. I don't think he cares about these brothers. Nothing about the manner. Well, he's kind of, I guess, with the meal and everything, yeah.
He made sure that they'll do to Benjamin what they did to him.
Exactly.
And so
Yeah.
he must protect his little brother.
Then each man quickly lowered his sack to the ground, and each man opened his sack, and he searched, and beginning with the eldest and ending with the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. They tore their clothes, every man loaded his donkey, and they returned to the city. So I can't imagine the defeat, the sense of defeat at this point. What are they thinking they're going to do? They don't know what this man really wants. They know they're being set up by him. They know that they're being set up by him, and I believe by him, certainly by someone, by him. But that's not a lot to say about that. It's just because we want to get to the star of the show, Judah, of all people. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. This is a very long speech that we're going to see from Judah. We'll get to it in a second. But let's go ahead and read 14 through 17. Now Judah takes forefront. When Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, so he singles out Judah.
That's the telling statement right there.
Joseph was still there. They fell before him to the ground. There it is again, bowing down. Joseph said to them, what deed is this you have done? Do you not know that a man like me can indeed practice divination? Don't know what to do with that statement. Not worried about it. And Judah, the spokesman, stands up, the Alpha. The Alpha doesn't necessarily have to be a good guy. The Alpha is just the Alpha. What shall we say to my Lord? There it is again, my Lord. What shall we speak? Or how can we clear ourselves? And here's the statement that I think either Joseph was waiting to hear or was shocked to hear, but the one that matters. God has found out the guilt of your servants. Behold, we are my Lord's servants, both we and he also in whose hand the cup has been found. He completely owns the situation. He sees it as the final destination, the final outcome of an event that happened 2 decades ago when they put Joseph in a pit. He's made the connections, and he said, yep, that's exactly right. Think of the irony. What a man sows, that will he reap. They sold Joseph as a slave into Egypt. And Judah, with full awareness, full self-awareness, says, yep, after that, in consequence, we're going to reap what we sow. We're going to be slaves in Egypt. That's what Joseph realizes. And they are going to be slaves in Egypt. Just not exactly the way that they thought they were going to be. They're going to be privileged slaves in Egypt. But in his mind, we just sold ourselves into slavery in Egypt and we deserve it. But he said, Joseph says, far be it from me that I should do so. He wants Benjamin. Only the man in whose hand the cup was found shall be my servant. But as for you, go up in peace to your father. He wants Joseph. I mean, Benjamin. He wants Benjamin. And I think that's straight up. He just wants Benjamin. And now somehow, if they want to change the situation, they got to do something. What can Judah do to save a family disaster situation? Because remember what's at stake here, the covenant and the covenant promise. We talked about threats to the covenant all the way back from Genesis chapter 12, when Abraham was told to go into Canaan, and then he promptly went where? To Egypt. And then he got chased back into Canaan by the Pharaoh. So that's the first threat of the covenant. Then there's Lot competing with Abraham. Then there's Ishmael. Then there's Esau. Then there's the situation with Shechem, when they offer to assimilate with the Shechemites and have the intermarriage thing. I mean, it's one after another. Now, is he really going to take Benjamin, send them back, and that's it? And now the family, basically the covenant promise is destroyed. Enter Judah, who unwittingly saves the situation with one of the greatest statements of the meritorious the meritorious way of understanding redemption. One of the greatest statements of that kind of redemption, kind of in human history, where he will redeem himself and the family in the eyes of Joseph. And I think that's where the turning happens. So I'm just going to read it. It's 460 words long, his speech. If you add up the words before that, because it's really one speech, it's even longer. There's not a lot of 500-word speeches in the Bible. Judah does one on command, impromptu, ad hoc, out of desperation. This is what comes out of his mouth. So Judah went up and told up to him and said, here we go, from 18 to 34. Oh, my Lord, please let your servant speak a word in my Lord's ears, and let not your anger burn against your servant, for you are like Pharaoh to us, says Judah to Joseph, who had the dreams about the brothers bowing down to him. My Lord asked his servants, saying, have you a father or a brother? And we said to my Lord, I don't know how many times he says Lord here, I'm going to count it in a minute. We have a father, an old man, and a younger brother, the child of his old age. His brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother's children, and his father loves him. Is there any sense of jealousy here? Do they hate Benjamin because he's Jacob's favorite? That's all erased. That's all gone. That's what Joseph hears. Then you said to your servants, bring him down to me that I may set my eyes on him. And we said to my Lord, the boy cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die. Then you said to your servants, unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you shall not see my face again. When we went back to your servant, my father, we told him the words of my Lord. And when our father said, go again, buy us a little food, we said, we cannot go down. If our youngest brother goes with us, then we will go down. For we cannot see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us. Then your servant, my father, said to us, you know that my wife bore me 2 sons. One left me, and I said, surely he has been torn to pieces, and I have never seen him since. If you take this one also from me, and harm happens to him, you shall bring down my gray hairs in evil to Sheol. Any lie in there? I don't see any lie. There's extra words. He says a few things we didn't know, but he acknowledges now Joseph knows what they told Jacob about his death, that he was torn in pieces. They didn't own it. He didn't exactly own it. He leaves out the part where he says, we told him that. That's what we told happened, right? So the treachery part, he kind of leaves out, but this is exactly what happened. Now therefore, as soon as I come to your father, my servant, and the boy is not with us, then as his life is bound up in the boy's life, as soon as he sees that boy is not with us, he will die. And your servants will bring down the gray hairs of your father, your servant, our father, with sorrow to the grave or Sheol. For your servant became a pledge, meaning Judah says, I, Judah. Now he tells Joseph what we already know, that he told Jacob, I'm sure I'm the guarantee of your son coming back. If he doesn't come back, let that be on me forever. Does he mean it? Does he really mean it? Or is he willing to just let cast Benjamin off and head back to secure his own safety? For your servant became a pledge of safety for the boy to my father, saying, if I do not bring him back to you, then I shall bear the blame before my father all my life. Now, therefore, please let your servant remain instead of the boy as a servant to my Lord. And that right there.
Yeah.
He asks please. He asks for it. He doesn't say, I am willing. He's asking for it. Please let your servant remain instead of the boy as my servant, as a servant to my Lord, you, and let the boy go back with his brothers. For how can I go back to my father if the boy is not with me? I fear to see the evil that would find my father. And that I've said this before, there's really only two, I don't know what you want to call it, heartwarming stories in the Bible. One was Esau and Jacob. When Esau is the one who initiates the reconciliation, kind of changes your perspective on Esau. And then there's this one. And the climax of the story of Genesis is, of course, their arrival in Egypt. But the high point, I mean, this is the point that the narrative has been building to for a long time. And man, Judah just steps up, saves the day, and it's not even a plot. It's not like he's got some master plan to somehow deceive anybody. No, he knows exactly what he's asking for. He knows what it's going to mean to be a slave. He's saying, I am willing to have done to myself what I did to Joseph in the same place. That's what he's saying right there.
And I picture it being more than just a petition of asking. He's on his knees begging.
Yes, he is. He's pleading.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's pleading.
Evidence of repentance.
It's incredible. I mean, it's got you've been carrying around this guilt because of the brother that you did this to for all these years. And you face your father every day and the effect that it had on him. And you just, I don't know, you get worn down and you start to realize, what have I done? And in the back of your mind is probably, you're not thinking anymore, oh, I got away with that one. All is well. We're just going to live happily ever after. And then all of it comes back. And out of this disaster, we're going to see one of the greatest acts of salvation in the Bible as God uses these events. I mean, the master plan of the artistry of salvation, small s, that's going on right here, where he's going to save a people. And then he's going to save a family group, get them in Egypt. And then out of that family group, he's going to produce a people of God, which he will then expand to include the nations. You can begin to see, if you think about it like that, you can begin to see the plan of redemption. And we'll talk more about that later. But I just want to stop for a minute. I don't even know if I have much to say about this.
As I'm sitting here thinking, my mind's wandering on things that I see here. For instance, that statement in verse 14 was that's huge. A huge statement.
It is.
And it reminds me in the book of Acts when Barnabas and Saul were traveling along, and then Saul performs this miracle healing somebody, and all of a sudden it becomes, and Paul and his companions.
Yeah, it switches.
It's
Yeah.
a dynamic thing in both cases and correlates to each other, I think. But I'm also sitting here thinking God is the great orchestrator of all this. We're looking at the small story. There's the big story too. And it seems like if you think about it, God's always orchestrating to show that he has power over all these so-called gods, the Tower of Babel. But then the people go back to worship the gods. He does it in Egypt when he delivers the people of Israel out of Egypt. He's doing so here by getting the people down to Egypt for protection. You know, all through the Bible and even up to the end of Revelation, where he's going to show himself stronger and ultimately defeat Satan at the end of the book. No?
There's some nowhere. One of the questions here at this, the parallels. There's this clear substitutionary element to this story,
Yes.
but nowhere. The question is Judah? There's no reference to this story in the New Testament
Nope.
as a parallel to Jesus' substitutionary atonement. But it is an interesting rhyme that Judah, that the patriarch of the clan, that Jesus, of the family, of the tribe that Jesus was descended from, that the patriarch, right at the beginning, performs this unbelievable act of substitution for himself in the place of his brother. So it's just kind of there, you know, it's eerily parallel. It's like it rhymes with it's there, but you can't call, you know, I don't know, do we call Judah a type of Christ? I don't ever remember that I don't ever remember that in the New Testament. Moses is, David is, you know, these other ones, but that's never said of Judah or Joseph. But it's an amazing story, underappreciated in the whole narrative of Genesis. Once you understand the last 6 chapters, think about all of the narrative that the author dedicated to getting to this point, from sold into slavery in Egypt, all the narrative. I mean, he really slowed it down. This is really important stuff. Very important.
It's also one of those spots where you don't want to stop. If you want to see what happens in the next phase.
Yeah.
Joseph put down in weeks after this performance, if you will, by Judah, this confession by Judah.
All right. We'll clean it up next time and move on to 45, where the story gets happy again. Thanks for joining. We'll see you all in the feed.
Shot I had to meet at one.
Thanks, Gary.
You're welcome.
I think.